was 20 years ago, back in 2005, that mega babyface John Cena started receiving boos. And there were little murmurs that maybe, just maybe, it was time to turn him heel. And that would be on the way. Well, it took 20 years. It took going to Bizarro World. It took him being involved in his final WrestleMania program. But at last, for the first time since the middle to late 2003, John Cena is unquestionably, unarguably, unambiguously a heel. Yes, it was John Cena, not Cody Rhodes, who sold his soul to the final boss. No, that is not a joke. That is not a parody. That's not an April Fool's bit. That's not a radio gimmick. That is none of that. John Cena won the Elimination Chamber match, is the number one contender for Cody Rhodes' title, and he is doing it as a heel. What's up, guys? I am Rob. This is the Nocturnal Knockout, a Brass Ring Media podcast on the One True Sport YouTube channel. What's up, Run True Sport Twitter? What's up, RVD Twitter? We have a ton to talk about. Had that last segment never occurred, had none of that ever went down, we would have a full show tonight. We could do 2 hours on that last segment. Tons of WrestleMania implications all over the place. I'm stunned. Guys, my voice, I was screaming on my couch. I could not believe they were turning Cena heel. I actually had a spasm in my side when it happened. I couldn't believe that they were actually doing it. There were a lot of possibilities going into the Rock stilling soul ceremony that was going to happen. Cody was a big contender. Some people were calling for Punk. There were even dark horses for Drew McIntyre. Yeah, there was some whisper that it could be Cena, but just given all the logic, given the reactions that Cena's been getting, I don't think a lot of people had that on their bingo card. But this is wild. It's happening. And we got to discuss all of it. There's huge implications, obviously, for WrestleMania. The WrestleMania main event is seemingly set, with the problem of who's going to get booed and who's going to get cheered seemingly absolutely solved as long as the fans go in that direction. It would seem, as a present time, there's no actual match for The Rock to be involved in, but he will be involved heavily in the WrestleMania main event. And so, in the end, we do seemingly get a version of Cody versus The Rock, as what was seemingly projected. But the Cody versus Cena match takes on a whole new flavor, a historical flavor that we've never seen. We're going to talk about it all night. You guys got to get in on the chat, as you are already doing. What's up, Ty? What's up, E? What's up, Austin? This is pretty wild. We're going to have a lot of opinions tonight, a lot of takes. I think we're going to go in a lot of different directions. I'll stay on as long as I can handle it, and as long as we can keep the conversation going, because there's simply so much to talk about. And if you guys want to keep the conversation going, you'll stay in that chat. What's up, Francis? If you want to get moved to the front of the line, you can send a generous super chat. Helps us keep the lights on. But most importantly, get in on the chat, like, share. Let's talk about what happened. Let's process our thoughts. Let's process our emotions. Let's figure out where WrestleMania is going. What's up, Francis? What's up, Valentin? Made everything interesting before Mania, just like last year. Seems like they keep doing that every year right at the start of WrestleMania. I had some opinions on that. Go to the Brass Ring Media YouTube channel. Check out the video I have up there. It's about 5 minutes long. And I actually posed the question, whose fault is it that this year they're once again pivoting away from WrestleMania? A lot of you guys seem to like that video. I appreciate it, but a lot more of you are watching this than have watched that video. So if you would be so inclined to go ahead and give that video a watch as well, if you are enjoying this. I am going to enjoy talking to you guys tonight. I did, E. I nailed Randy's return. Here's the thing, E. If you call Randy's return for every show, eventually you're going to be right. I feel bad for Randy, too, because the guy keeps getting upstaged by much larger events on some of these shows that he's on. Not really his fault, but his interactions are just a little bit weird. I called it Johnson. CB, were you getting in on that this morning? I was watching a little bit of Ashley's podcast, and I feel like you were calling that this morning. Some of you guys were calling it on the Kick Ash podcast this morning. Oh, Austin is hurt, and I don't mean this in a condescending way, but this is going to be an angle we're going to have to talk about. And I think there's going to be a binary here. So Austin put out there, I never thought the person I loved the most in wrestling would just, I think he meaning just do that. The person he loved the most in wrestling, he never considered would do that. That's something to consider here. So for the first time, I think we have the most validity ever to the claim of what would happen in the downsides of turning a John Cena heel. For the first time in his career, or seemingly since he had become a mega babyface, Cena has been unanimously cheered by the very few live event crowds that he has showed up in front of. Other than the crowd playing around a little bit with some John Cena sucks stuff, there really hasn't been negative reactions to him. And that's so rare for Cena in his career. And the one time they don't have that is the time they actually decide to go heel with him. So they do run a bit of a risk, though, of alienating some of the hardcore Cena fans. I think there was a time where many of us, myself included, would be very dismissive of hardcore Cena fans. You know, you would kind of refer to them as the children or the kids' table. They were the reason why WWE was PG'd. It was being ruined. And there was people who flat out couldn't stand Cena. And then I think the more rational folks, I was definitely on this, I like to think of people who just thought Cena was simply miscast. That was definitely the case. I think there's no question that Cena is an extremely talented top guy in wrestling. And he proved that over the years. And he ended up earning the respect of a lot of the audience that never really cared for him. And he became a legacy act in the last couple of years. We talk about it all the time. He's been around for 20 years. There were people that were born in 2003, 2004. They've only known a super babyface John Cena for all these years. They've grown up on that. There's no ambiguity with him. There's no shades of gray with him. He is their ultimate babyface. Do you run the risk now of alienating those fans? It comes down to two different scenarios historically in wrestling history. You have Bash at the Beach, 1996 in WCW, with Hulk Hogan turning heel after basically 2 decades of an uber babyface run. And that, of course, was very well received. That is one of the greatest heel turns in wrestling history. It's a heel turn that affected a lot of other stuff, and we're still feeling the burdens of it. It was the heel turn that Cena's career was burdened by, because that was the template. People always had the template there before. The template that Roman Reigns eventually used to greater success than I think we ever even imagined Cena could reach. Swig a Code Red for the working man. Give me a Mountain Dew sponsorship. Just before Survivor Series 03, it's like a match with like Ray or Eddie or someone like that, where he just sort of does it. He's giving us the report from the post show as well. If you want to follow along that in the chat, he's giving us some updates on Bianca and Sammy and some of the stuff from earlier in the show. Now, the other heel turn that this could be analogous to, or could be a cautionary tale, is WrestleMania 17, where that crowd and the subsequent crowds had no real interest in booing Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was their babyface. It didn't matter. And the Stone Cold character always did heelish stuff. He just happened to be aligned with the evil Vince McMahon. But instead of that being a shocking thing that people really wanted to see, it just turned into WWE's ultimate jump the shark moment. One that you can argue they only recovered from, like at last year's WrestleMania. That was finally a finish that was satisfying enough to change that. And in terms of how you were going to go with the setup here, you could have had a heel turn at WrestleMania with one of these characters, but no, you're doing it for the build. And that build is very important. We have to remember that this is an unconventional WrestleMania season. You got about 2 months of build without any special events or premium live events that we really know of right now in between. Now, you got these 3-hour SmackDowns that are interminable, and you have these 2.5-hour Raws that are generally good shows with good wrestling and not a lot of storyline development. That is our current landscape. And so you may get like a pay-per-view quality match or a feud settler in between now and Mania. In fact, I pretty much guarantee that there will be some semblance of that somewhere. Let me catch up on a few of your early chats, and then we'll keep talking about this, and eventually we'll start breaking down the card. CB notes first time since 2002, 2003 that Cena's a heel. E said Triple H already on the post show. That's where they only interviewed Bianca before that. E also said, and I don't think this is an official shirt, but that's just a good idea, hustle, loyalty, and disrespect could be the new shirt. Okay, yeah, right before to be on Brock's team. Yep, against Team Angle, right, CB? Sev notes, is this a given? Cena wins at Mania and Cody Chase? I don't know. I have no idea what this means for Mania. Let's discuss or throw your opinions in the chat. Because anything's in play in that main event now. The chase for 17, does he reach it as a heel with the Rock in his corner? Do you leave WrestleMania on that sour taste in his mouth? Would a Jey Uso and a Roman Reigns win the night before be enough to make up with that kind of sour ending? Is this such a big deal and it's going to be such big news that it's not going to matter? We're going to have the least amount of those answers tonight. But this is a time capsule because we're never going to be in this moment again. Like imagine if you could be on a live stream or a podcast the night of WrestleMania 17. Maybe some people, there were some wrestling call-in shows back then. Or Bash at the Beach 96. Imagine if we're in the South where you got like a wrestling talk show. It's kind of what tonight is like. And I think we're going to go all over the place with it. What if Cena shows up on Raw and goes, "You can see me"? The Thugganock says Jose 316. What's up, Jose? Not an official shirt, just an idea. I hope they do it though. Jose's got Cena winning his 17th at Mania. And E notes, hopefully Cena breaks the record. My heart can't handle him not losing at Mania. Super Cena 420 this year is going to be great. It might literally be Super Cena 422 with the Travis Scott involvement. Which, don't undersell what a nice little touch that was. And are we going to see Cena as like a legit rapper again? There were a lot of... There's always been the implication because the most recent Cena Hill character, which goes all the way back to 2003 as we've uncovered on this stream, there's always the implication that it would be a Thuganomics Cena because that was the vulgar Cena. Although that kind of made less sense as the years went on because you would assume that it would be this kind of corporate champion that Cody or that Cena would be, so that would be antithetical to a doctor of Thuganomics. Although not so much in the modern context, actually. There just a whole lot has happened in music and culture that it actually wouldn't look as weird as it would have a lot of these other times that we have presented this. But I wonder if they're going to present him in a more serious kind of rap way, the way they presented, Travis Scott the Netflix guy being aligned with The Rock and all of those connections there. What's up, Matt? Glad you made it in, Matty. Coming off of a good one, I hope. Matty says that was an epic show. He loved the Cody go F yourself moment. That was something. In the chamber. I love how in the chamber Punk is shooting out of a pod and we've got the guy on the button. He's got the dumb button. But nice and clean in the middle of a promo, go F yourself, Cody says. And it just flies through. Good effect. I'm glad they kept it in. Could have been an extended mute segment like they do with The Rock when he's on TV. Wouldn't have had the same effect. So Jose says, and does he have Austin at WrestleMania 17 actually in his avatar? Which would be ironic for Jose 316. He said the Thugonomics thieves with tease thieves. The Thugonomics tease, easy for me to say, with the Rolex makes him believe so. Maddie said that's the moment you knew Cena would turn. He says hopefully a new Cena album. Cena last album went platinum. It's actually not terrible too if you listen to it. Even if you don't have time to listen to it, go to the Wrestling with Regret episode on it. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. Austin's real in right now. Austin's an all kind. Not Steve Austin. Steve Austin's fine. I think he had knee surgery, but Steve Austin's fine. Sports talk with Austin in my chat though. He's not okay. He says, "I thought maybe CM Punk, but not Cena of all people to sell. They sold." Like for real though. I'm real talk with you, Austin. Does it lower your interest in the product going forward if this guy who's your hero is a heel? I think that might be a little more real with Cena, even though creatively I'm a fan of going in a different direction with Cena, especially when I really thought the tube was out of the toothpaste on that. I thought that was a settled issue. I had long put down my campaign, which I guess at that point only existed in my head, but nonetheless, the campaign to advocate for a heel Cena. I thought once he went into this part-time role that he's been in, that was long gone. Maddie's been watching with Wrestling for Life. E said his heart can't handle him losing at Mania. LOL, damn, auto change, blame the weed. Ha. Thanks for that, E. Valentin says, I feel like it's more of a big celebrity club than Cena becoming a rapper again. Rock, Cena, and Travis Scott are big celebrities versus the people's hero, Cody. Yeah, and it could be just the next version of Hard Times, right? Of the people versus the Rhodes. This time, the Rhodes versus the Hollywood crew. Maddie says, that was a huge show, dudes. Yeah, I'm still kind of devastated. Not devastated in a heartbroken way, but like I almost just still need to sit in a quiet room and think about what happened and how to conceptualize that and what that means going forward, and is this a positive or negative. Jose notes, Cody's one of the few guys that can do that, funny enough. All three guys in the ring at that time could get away with it. Maddie says he's telling E that his jaw was on the floor. LOL is like, what the F, but cool. You know, E, my son's over here, and we had discussed it, but there was just no way. There was just no way it was gonna happen. CB. So far, CB wins comment of the night. Hulk Hogan will claim John Cena turning heel was his idea. Absolutely. CB, if I had like a prize to give you for best chat of the night, that would win right there. That is an old time chat right there. Oh God. That's gonna be in the narrative, right? I mean, it was bad enough that the reason why he got booed in LA is because the NWO came through there last time, brother. But if he's gonna say like, oh, that's totally something he's gonna say on a podcast, right? He's hawking some MAGA beer. At that point, he'll be on like MAGA toothpicks or something, MAGA toilet paper, and he'll be out there saying, I don't know why I'm making him sound like Triple H. It was something to the effect of he told Hunter, he told Road Dogg. That's what it's gonna be. He told Road Dogg that it really worked, and he'll say back in '77 when he turned heel with Hall and Nash, brother, when he joined the NWA with Hall and Nash in the '80s, he remembered how well that worked, and that's when he told Road Dogg that it was time to turn Cena heel. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Look at that for Austin. It's got a babyface fan, I think, out of Cody, so it kind of worked. Austin is saying, "I will say this, Rob. I hope Cody kicks Cena's ass at WrestleMania now." So at least it kind of keeps you invested. I think if that's the vibe I'm getting, but I do think there could be a risk of someone who just kind of is into the Cena thing being like, "Screw that. I like Cena." It's a bad. So Seth says it's a bad path for Cena if he goes down the Hogan path. Well, he's already a much more successful actor than Hogan ever was. He seems at this point, but we'll see, to be a more redeemable person than Hogan's ever been. Does have full creative control, which is interesting. I wonder if Bret Hart is going to get screwed over in this run somehow. I guess this might be an update from the press conference from E. He said Triple H putting over Cena, said you can't blame him for wanting a challenge instead of riding on his nostalgia for his tour. 100% on that. And this nostalgia tour has sucked so far. So now it's got a little bit of life in it at least. It was terrible, and Punk pointed that out last night on SmackDown. But this run has been terrible because it hasn't been much of a run. It's been him waving from the sidelines. It's been him doing press conferences, and now it's seen he's in matches. Now, if you retrofit all that for him being a heel, it actually kind of works now, doesn't it? Because it's easy to make the case that he has the desperation, that he needed this to be there. And I mean, the guy so hillishly, as many people have pointed out, just entered himself into this match without ever showing up on TV. He also says that Triple H has been putting over Cena, saying his actions were wrong, feeding into the strike. Good. I hate when they completely go off kayfabe in those post gamers. It's terrible, terrible when they do it. Terrible, as Barkley would say. Now here's another thing though, and let's think about this for a second. I think it would have just been very generic, Jose. I think here. Let me answer that question real quick, and then I want to move on to this other point. So Jose says, I still don't know what would happen if Cody accepted. I think we have a very generic run up to WrestleMania with maybe a pretty cool Cody Hill character at the end. Although I think that wouldn't have worked quite so well because as much as Cody's character is such a heel in its babyface presentation, he's not actually a heel. He's the uber babyface, and the crowd is largely into him, except for sometimes when he's opposite some of the absolute fan favorites. But whether or not we want to accept it or not, or whether or not history doesn't seem like this would hold up, Cody Cody stays true to himself, and he kind of has that character now, and there's no reason for him to go that way. So when you look at this from a a storyline perspective, though, Anthony, let's fill Anthony in there. He said, "Did John Cena really turn heel, or is this BS rumors started by the dirt sheet?" Well, I am not a dirt sheet. I just watched. the show on Peacock, and I'm pretty positive he turned heel. So I don't think that's BS started by the dirt sheet. But welcome in, Anthony. How does any of this actually make sense, though, in terms of the recent television? So are we to assume that The Rock knew that Cody was going to refuse to sell out? Which I guess you can say that that may be the case. However, was it also a guarantee that a man who had not won a match since like 2018 was gonna win the Elimination Chamber, and so The Rock hatched this plan with him before? There's something in there they're gonna have to explain. There's something in there that doesn't quite make sense. It's a little bit of a gap that we're gonna have to put that puzzle piece together somewhere. I'm sure the way to figure it out will not be by like a 40-minute promo by The Rock where he repeats himself and repeats himself and repeats himself. If anything, I'm sure Seth Rollins will give Cody Rhodes a lecture, and that's how we'll figure out how all this actually went down. Final boss always has a plan B. Yeah, but the plan A doesn't really make like. Then Cena in that moment of truth just decided to take it. I don't buy that. What about that, Austin? If it was going to be face Cody versus face Cena, expand on that. I'm interested in what you got to say. No, no, Anthony. I wasn't saying that. I was kind of laughing at the question just a little bit. Uh, no, but it's real. it, it seems to be real. Um, we are we are absolutely all fooled if it's not real right now. But I would you would see that. No, 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 don't. Almost ended this whole stream. That would have been terrible. Let me catch up on what E said right there. So E mentioned, why do I keep doing that? Almost ending the stream. Shouldn't do that. Post show, someone asked the status on Cena. Heel turn Triple H said he heartily believes Cena chose a month or so ago. He chose what's best for business and for himself. Good job on Triple H then for selling this, if that's how it's going down. Thanks for reporting on that, Frizzy. Cena will be first out on Raw. Do we have an idea of Cena's schedule for his appearances? That'd be something our crack team of producers can jump up for us. I know we have some of the Roman schedule, but I wonder what the Cena schedule is going to be. Was there? I'm trying to remember. There was it. There was no. Oh, we need like a Zahn or one of you guys who just knows your history. Was there? There was no Hogan on the post Bash at the Beach Nitro. Was there? I don't think so. I think there was like photos of Hogan. There was no Hogan. So that's a good question by Anthony here. He says, "But do you think the heel turn came way too late in his career? He's been a babyface his whole career, and our friends able to buy him as a bad guy." I asked that question earlier, in terms of the hardcore Cena fans. Like, are they just going to like him, so they're not going to accept this, and it'll be like a jump the shark moment a la WrestleMania 17? It's very late in the game, and there's only so many more Cena matches to go. You have to remember, though, part of, I think, the internal rationale for never turning Cena throughout his prime was the idea that who was going to replace him. Now, I think that was a bit of a chicken and the egg kind of scenario back then because they really wouldn't go with anyone else or even give anyone else a real earnest chance, it would seem like, aside from Cena. Even when they would give the more crowd pleasing wrestlers a shot, it would never be a full shot. And then they would stumble from a box office perspective, and we would come back and we would blame the talent, and Cena would stay on top. Cena would stay on top. Well, now it seems like we're in a scenario where you have plenty of replacements for Cena. Cody has been the ultimate successor for Cena in terms of a babyface pillar of the company. I think as far as a top guy that's John Money and John Interest, you can argue that Roman has actually been bigger in his career in some ways than Cena. You also have other mega baby faces like CM Punk right now, Jey Uso, dare I say, and a lot of great characters on the female side, some of which were enhanced tonight. You have plenty of other options, and John Cena's at the end of his rope. So you might say this was the time when his career was most disposable for a heel turn. But I think with the combination of him and The Rock going up against Cody, and even the fans' willingness to just buy into it because it's what they've always wanted, even if they don't have a true hatred for him, and it goes well, I think I think they'll accept it for this time period. And the thing with these legends is, and I don't know, Cena might be the oldest of the old school, and I wouldn't put it past him and Rock and Cody and Triple H to go this route and just be like, hey, your career is coming over to an end. Go out and die like a dog, so to speak. Go out as a heel that everyone hates. Now, that is wild to the Cena character. So they could go that and they could push that. Or we can be Shawn Michaels in 2005, where a mega babyface, a legendary babyface, a legacy babyface turns for a couple of months, turns back, and all is forgiven. Ric Flair would turn heel all the time post mid-90s, and it never really mattered. This is much more significant than any Flair heel turns. This is obviously closer to an Austin or a Hogan heel turn, or maybe to a much lesser extent, Punk in 2012, which was Cena and The Rock were involved in that. Let me catch up on some of these chats. We still haven't started talking about the card. We're 30 minutes in. This is great, guys. There's so much to chew on here. All right. If Cody versus Cena was going to be a babyface versus babyface, as a big Cody fan, I would have rooted for Cena. But now I can root for Cody and not regret any of it. Well, I thought that match was going to have a real problem going into two babyface versus babyface, and then a triple threat on the other night with three guys that are well liked. I've been thinking the whole time that that's a bad formula for WrestleMania. I was thinking they needed a one-on-one heel versus face match. They've got that. They've absolutely got that. Oh, it looks like we got one of the producers did send the Cena schedule. So we've got Cena on the 17th in Belgium. Cena on the 24th in Scotland. 31st in London. These are all for Raws. So he's not going to be stateside in the road to WrestleMania. And then at WrestleMania. Jesse asks, do you think the John Cena heel turn is the greatest heel turn since the Hogan heel turn that formed the NWO? That's going to be the big question going forward this week. There's going to be a lot of thought on it. It doesn't surpass that heel turn. I'm trying to, and maybe you guys in the chat throw out some heel turns that have happened post 96. So basically in the last 30 years. I'm thinking of very recent ones, and I know there's other major ones that heel turns that really resonate, because there are a lot of like heel turns that went like sideways, that were big deals, that were big shocking moments, but they were so shocking, or they didn't make any sense, or they were the wrong time. Obviously, Austin's heel turn was the spectacular disaster. All of them in 01 were weird. Danielson's heel turn was fairly shocking and I think very well done in late 2017, but that's or whenever that was, 2019. Yes, 2018. My years are confused. You get the idea. During his comeback post concussion, that was like shocking, and okay. You know what? You know which one? It's one that still ties to current storyline. The Shield heel turn was pretty epic, and we're still dealing with the fallout of that. No, I haven't pre-ordered a 2K25. Maybe the producer has. Jesse asks, is Jade now a heel or a face with Belair? I'm pretty sure Jade is a face. Pretty sure Jade is Jade's more of a face than John Cena right now. I can tell you that. That seems expensive, Maddie. So Valentin's referring to the Cena heel turn and the timing here. He says he thinks they should have done it in 2013, but now absolutely does things more interesting, so it's still worth it. Yeah, I would say 2012 would be actually a better time than 2013. Although if they didn't do it in 2012, they probably should have done it in 2013 as the follow up. And in fact, we've heard Cena say that they had music written for, like, they really came up with that plan. Isn't that amazing that thrice in a lifetime is actually, this is how which is actually, this isn't even the third. This would be, so if Cena and The Rock will obviously be in the ring together this year at WrestleMania, that brings it to, okay, 27. They share the ring, 28, 29, 32, and 40. It's going to be the sixth WrestleMania that those two men stand in the same ring together. So Jose thinks he's going to lose the belt and then turn back face. My laundry's also dry, in case you guys heard that. So Maddie says this is bigger than NWO. The thing about that, I mean, the NWO one was industry changing. I don't think this will be that, because WWE, while having a sluggish WrestleMania season, is very much unquestioned at the top of the industry and is making waves in the industry. Like they're in a time that I think is, they're in a much hotter period, despite how great that NWO angle was at in the summer of '96. They're in a much bigger position of strength, so I don't think it's industry changing like that. But in terms of actual, if you talk about kayfabe and contrast, Hogan was booed the entirety of his time in WCW. People were getting sick of him towards the end of his WWF run. They never accepted him down south. He was cooled off significantly. You can make that argument maybe with Cena, but Cena was still getting the best babyface reactions of the night for the last couple of years whenever he would rarely show up. That was a huge moment. I don't know if that was a huge heel turn, but Maddie's bringing up the ECW WCW turn. That was something else. When they came out and all that, that was. Or are you talking about when Austin went with them for the alliance? It was big, but it was not like this. Uh, Triple H says nothing's locked in if a women's match could main event. The women's matches seem to be filling out pretty nice, but I don't think any of them really qualifies as a main event this year. Though the angle is great, the heel Austin the Alliance is great. Well, even that the little 2 week face run he has where he's drinking in a local bar and he comes back after his drunk driving and beats everyone with the pool stick. I mean, that's classic stuff. Austin was hitting anything that by God moves. As far as PLEs being 2 nights, there was a question about that. It will be chosen. So, Maddie has no context. He says to WCW, so he says he believes Hogan was never as big as Cena is now. I don't think '94 Hogan is because in '94 Hogan's kind of like a faded movie star who's like not doing well with all these little kind of roles that Cena absolutely is kind of killing it with. But at the height of their powers, I would say I think Hogan was a much more impactful cultural figure, and in terms of the difference he made for WWE, I think had a more significant growth impact. So you were a little brother of a Hulkamaniac. Yeah, for me, I think of myself like a Hulkamaniac, but I totally my first like conscious images of Hogan is as heel NWO Hogan, but I got to catch the nostalgia run. Hope you're doing okay, Austin. I really do. That's a lot to handle, man. So Maddie says Hogan was never as big as Rock, Hogan, or RVD. Good call. Good call on that one. All right, let's break down this actual card. We've been just talking about what the hell happened for 40 minutes. Let's talk about the card, and then we'll end. We'll end at the main event, and then we'll talk some WrestleMania predictions and any other news that comes out, any reflections or reactions. Dave LaGreca is losing it. Oh, this is interesting. This is an interesting one to kick us off on before we go there. Oh, Cena's on the post show. Okay, we'll wait to talk about it until we get the full report of Cena on the post show. You guys can tell me that, and maybe I'll check it out here with the sound off. Valentin says when I was 19 years old, I've been out talking about wrestling with my manager at the store. He was working at. He told me he quit watching wrestling because Hogan turned heel. He just couldn't handle it. So that might have been more similar for him. That was like the Austin moment in the jumping the shark. Oh, that's awesome. Let me check that out. They said Cena grabs the mic, shows up, and leaves. Let me see if there's a clip of that on Twitter real quick that I can check out before we start talking about the card. Let's see. No, there's a video. There's the video of the heel turn on ESPN. In terms of YouTube, has 37 or 28,000 views 37 minutes ago. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get a shot of that mic drop. Here's from Sean Ross's Twitter account. Let me share a photo of that real quick. There it is. There's the big mic drop from Cena. Came in, mic drop, left. Well, it makes sense. Cena's Mr. Corporate. Cena's the guy that always does all these things. His refusal to do those things, or his stopping of doing those things, would be inherently hillish for Cena. People's kids are freaking out over Cena. My kid is. My kid's like, I think he's devastated. This is his. He might stop watching wrestling after this. He's only known Cena as the ultimate like good person. Cena's making kids cry. Yep. And they deserve to, too. They deserve it. Ah, Brandy Rhodes. This is a nice tweet. Just tweeting John Cena sucks. Who knows what is Cena's heel attire going to be? Is there going to be black jorts? What's it going to be? Also, like, Cena had more hair tonight. Oh, that was way better than Rumble. This card was a really, really good card. Not perfect, but it was a really, really good card going into it. And this angle at the end. Again, I'm going to hold my reservation as if it's like the most perfect thing, but it's pretty awesome. Jose says that R-Truth is devastated. Yeah, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's very devastated. Look at that image. Look how much hair The Rock has. Is the bald? Well, hey, baldness will turn people heel. I'm heel right now. Look at that. Now my face. It's crazy. Yeah. I was a nice guy when I had the full head of hair. Now I'm cheating on my taxes. I'm stealing from people. I'm doing things to win competitions in nefarious ways. I'm not really cheating on my taxes. Don't come after me, IRS, if you still exist. Take it easy. Take it easy. Enough of that. Enough of that late night skin for you guys, you freaks. I'm jealous that Cena is known for being bald now and has more hair than me. It's pissing me off. The Rock is bald and has more hair than me. Oh wait, let's see. I got a video of. Well, I had it, but do not want that playing on audio. Well, that's a great use of my time and your time as I look for a phone that somehow disappeared on a seat that I'm on. Okay, cool. Oh, The Rock's on the post show. See what he's got to say. Sure, E. Absolutely. Anyway. The Rock said it was an amazing moment. So, tell me what tone is The Rock striking here? Is he uber face? Is he healing it up? Is he corporate Rock? And not in a heel kind of corporate way, just regular corporate Rock? It's interesting to have The Rock and Triple H both do the press conferences nowadays. I think we can subtweet that all we want. Hold on one second. There we go. Corporate Rock. Darn it. My least favorite Rock. I like drunk Rock. I like offensive Rock. I like not good at wrestling anymore Rock. I like repetitive Rock. I like Hollywood Rock. I don't know about this Rock though. This is the Rock I'm not so sure about. This is the Rock that I've got trust issues with. It's this guy. This guy I got it's got no chill. This guy's talking about all these executives that no one's ever heard about. And how he's a disruptor in the industry. He's just like former wrestler Stephanie McMahon. Like if Stephanie, when she was in the height of her corporate speak, like it's just if Stephanie was a former 7-time champ. Sam Roberts is asking The Rock about his mood swings. That is interesting. And he's got Cody's belt. He's got the weight belts up there with his tequila, which he clearly had way too much of before that SmackDown. I've seen that Cena clip a few more times. That's pretty awesome. Well, The Rock's not going to answer that question flat out. All right, so sounds like we're getting corporate Rock. That's what it sounds like. So now let's get a good start going to this. Let's break down the card. So we open tonight with the Women's Elimination Chamber match for a world championship match at WrestleMania 41. Now, going into this, they're not saying whose title it is for. Well, we know what title it's for because Charlotte has already chosen Tiffany's title. However, there's another Women's World Championship match tomorrow night between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. So the winner of this match theoretically gets the winner of that match. Now, this match started with as hot of a start as you can have. The first two in the ring were Naomi and Liv Morgan. And there's been so much build up on the who shot Bianca angle that it felt like that thing was never going to pay off. But it was pretty obvious that it wasn't going to be Raquel and Liv were not going to be the culprits. I think that was so very clear despite our video footage that didn't quite line up where we needed it to be. Somebody was watching. Somebody knew what was going on. And that somebody turned out to be Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill, in her wrestling gear, scared the hell out of everyone. Scared the hell out of Liv. Confused Naomi and Bianca. Came in there like a house of fire to absolutely destroy Naomi. This was such a hot start to the show. You can see the pixelated thing on my screen. That kick she did to Naomi into the glass, that was amazing. This was out of control in terms of just a holy bleep moment. There's several of those on this evening in terms of big, shocking moments. Going into all this, you were wondering how were they going to get like a one-on-one match out of this? It wasn't both of them that attacked Jade, and there was 3 people involved. And at the end of this match, we learned, I think, both ways of how they were going to get around that. But you figured, or at least I figured, there'd be a couple more weeks of investigation and what's going on, what's happening, more of this sort of lame whodunit. Instead, why don't we just go directly to the source? Let's go to the person that was attacked. Let's see what E has to say about it. Bianca's terrible excuse said on the post show earlier she was confused by why Jade did that and wants answered and distracted for the win of the chamber. Like, yeah. I think it's pretty obvious, but Naomi was selling it, or Bianca was selling it really well. Yeah, Michael, I think that's the implication that Naomi was her attacker, and so Jade is the one that is most intimately aware of that. But that got this thing off to one hell of a hot start. And it did something that I think the men's match could have benefited from, because it basically just took up the time where the first 2 combatants are kind of doing nothing because there's not going to be a lot of consequence to the action. It filled that space really, really nicely with tons of high energy, which led to what I felt was a very fast-paced match that didn't have these lull periods, like nowhere near in the way that the women's war game had those lull periods. There were some spots in this match, but nothing too extreme. I think actually the coolest spots in this match happened with Bianca on top of the pod with Liv. But we'll talk about that in a second. Let's break down some of the action, talk about a little bit of it. Bianca was the third one out after they declared that Naomi could not compete anymore. Like, she had been completely devastated by that. By the tape. So let me clarify. Naomi gets completely beaten up by Jade, and then it is taken out of the match. Bianca is the third one in there, and she's like stunned emotionally. Like, she can't even really get in any offense. Roxanne ends up being the next woman out. So we have Bianca, Liv, and Roxanne. And again, very little offense in this time from Bianca. It's almost like they were saving her up. Bayley comes out next. It goes right after Roxanne to continuing that feud that's been going on for months and months and months. Alexa comes out after that. Alexa looked weird for moments in this. She looked like she was like porcelain. And then we had a moment where Roxanne had locked in the crossface in Canada. Yep, that just happened. Let me show you some footage of what was, I think, the spot of the night though when they were on top of the pod. So this whole sequence was just amazing. So they were fighting over Bianca's braid at the top. He didn't really know exactly how this was gonna go, but ooh, that crack was brutal. And I've seen some photos on social media after. Not only was Liv's stomach all messed up, her face was messed up. Liv took a hell of a beating in this match, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I'm very critical of Liv often on these shows and on television. She kind of carried this thing. She was like the cornerstone of this match. She was the focal point of this match. I didn't think she drug the match down. Michael, that's interesting. That happened a couple of times actually. Her back was bleeding is on. He says Bianca's braid should be considered a foreign weapon. Well, maybe it's part of the it's part of like a Troy Polamalu where you can say that it's part of the uniform. Is there that functional of a difference between a yes lock and a cross faces on? You're kind of communicating the same thing. There was let me get back to the match a little bit. So Roxanne hit a big move on Bailey, just sort of shot out of the shot out of the cannon there, and then Liv got the pin on Bailey. So Bailey's time in there was pretty brief, and she was the one that had the least amount kind of coming into this match, and that doesn't really that it's not really surprising based on where she's been positioning. And then like everybody hits their finishes on Roxanne, and she gets taken out there. Roxanne also looked very good in this match. That's a couple pay per views in a row where they've had Roxanne as this really featured performer, seemingly grooming her for a big run this year on the main roster. They have her in all the big matches on the main roster, and they kind of need the roster depth. So kind of she needs to come up. She was someone I really could have seen getting the victory tonight. There was a few possibilities for this match, and I actually really was considering that as the match um, was happening. We have some more interesting sequences there, and then we have Liv pinning Alexa with Bianca's hair. I have a little photo of this, or a bit of a screenshot, screen grab, if you could kind of get the feel of it. It's essentially like she was almost like using the ropes in a heelish kind of way, but not quite. Let me let me show you. I don't think Bailey's going back to damage control is on. Look at that pin though. You think it was completely incidental, Jose? The hairpin? I don't know. Could be. Looking at it, it doesn't actually seem like it helps her in the pin in any way. So you're not wrong, Jose. You might not be wrong, but I thought it had a cool little visual in it. But in the end, we got down to the final two, which was Bianca and Liv, and they had a little bit of a legit match going into it. But ultimately, Bianca gets the victory, and Bianca will go on to WrestleMania. I'm assuming for another match with Rhea Ripley, which I am not going to complain about that. They hadn't really had any storyline going going into it, but it was one of the better options that you could have for Rhea because they have Rhea in a really weird spot, and I don't think her character is in a particularly good place right now. But this is better than obviously another Charlotte match or anything like that. We have to see what happens tomorrow. There is and at the end of this match, both Rhea and Io came out to stare down, confront, and congratulate Bianca. They still have that match on Monday night. Whatever happens from there, happens from there. If there's a way that Io gets the win over Rhea, Io versus Bianca is okay, but I would much rather see another Rhea versus Bianca match. Which, have they ever had a... What's their history? What is their exact history? They haven't had a Mania match, right? I want to say they've matched up other times, but maybe it's a little far away. And unquestionably, those two women, though, are the two women post Horsewomen who have got the most over on the main roster. So, yeah, I don't believe Bianca and Rhea faced at a Mania. I could be way off on that. But I want to say WrestleMania 37, Sasha and Bianca main evented night 1, which is correct. It is so hard to find results of WrestleManias when they go over 2 nights on Wikipedia and you're doing a live stream. That's just the way it is. So as I'm saying, maybe in NXT, that's all. They never face each other in Raw and SmackDown. So that's a hell of a match. Like that's a hell of a match between two people who have never faced. Bianca's character has not really been focused on a main event kind of scenario. It's been in the tag division and dealing with the Jade Cargill, Naomi, Liv, Raquel stuff as she maybe pivots away from that, or this is a part of that. They've only faced in NXT on singles. That feels like a much stronger match than Tiffany versus Charlotte right now, because that feels like such a mismatch. But I do think Rhea gets the win tomorrow over Io, and those are the two matches on the women's side now in terms of the titles: Tiffany and Charlotte, and Bianca and Rhea. From there, we had what was honestly kind of the come down match of the night, and it wasn't entirely the fault of the performers. Like, this match was fine, but there was a lot of intensity from the crowd after the Bianca win, the Chamber, the Jade entrance. The crowd was a little burnt out. I don't think Belair turns heel. I don't think either one of them turns heel, but if either one of them does, maybe it's Rhea. But I don't think either one of them does. Creed brothers win. I'm going to say that. Is that who's facing him? So the next match, though, was Tiffany and Trish against Nia and Candice LeRae. Tiffany and Trish got a good reaction, as you might imagine. Actually, really good reaction for Tiffany. She came out second, came out after Trish. Solid start by her, but the match hit a bit of a lull in the middle part until Tiffany really got to her fire up spot. And as I said, this match was just in a tough spot post Rumble. There was a cool spot though where Trish hit Nia with a Stratusfaction right off the top rope, and with as tall as Nia is, it had a cool little effect to it. Let me show it to you guys for the visual audience. There it is. It was a pretty cool effect. Eventually, this match ended. It's not an effect; it's a move with the world's prettiest moonsault on Nia Jax. Tiffany getting the victory and her team walking off into the sunset. Yeah, it's like her 10th comeback match. That's fine because outside of '06, they never had like a real. And that retirement match kind of came out of nowhere. So after that, she's broken it so many times. It's never been like she's retired. She just sort of like Demetrius kind of um, legend in the way that The Rock is, in the way that these other guys are. I think that's kind of her role now. And I would say this is one of the better comeback matches she's had. Um, because sometimes I think she doesn't always look great in these comeback matches, even though people get really, really excited to see her. Yes, the Fallen Angel moonsault. And that was kind of that. There was no run in from Charlotte or anything like that. It was just pretty straightforward reaction, good babyface reaction onto the next match. So we won't spend a ton of time on there. But next up, as you guys are mentioning, the unsanctioned match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. The the placement was really, really interesting for me on this one because I don't know about you guys, but were you guys calibrating the whole night match order and segment order? I certainly was. And having the two women's matches start us out the way that they did not help for those predictions. I mean, honestly, because I didn't quite see the Cena heel turn coming, I would say that I thought maybe Cody was going with him because it was main eventing. I assumed we would get the Rock Cody segment much earlier in the night, and that would play into the chamber. Little did I know what we were in for. Well, what we were in for with KO and Sammy was them just beating the holy hell out of each other. And boy, did they. So I actually kind of thought it was a little weird. Yeah, I thought it was a little weird too. But you you knew that there was going to be a lot in this match. You knew this match was going to be the most brutal match on a night that had two elimination chamber matches, and it didn't disappoint. There were a few little quirks here that made an unsanctioned match pretty interesting. You had the ref Rob Zapata in a black shirt, I guess because it's unsanctioned and we're a street fight, and then he puts on the blading gloves for the referees wear right off of the bat. And I like the way that sells it. This is going to be a match of brutality, although we wouldn't see the blood in this match. Right off the bat, though, we got a mention of Steen and Generico from Michael Cole. And then the lighting in this match was interesting. Some have called it mood lighting. It was, in my opinion, it was house show lighting. And I don't think there was any of it projected on the screen, so you just had to sort of watch in there. So I guess that was supposed to add to the unsanctioned match. But to me, that was a little weird because that just made it like the WWE, who was not sanctioning this match, was also very much participating in the production and enjoyment of this match. So that didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. What was cool when they started taking out the hockey sticks. That was amazing. And then how about when Michael Cole said, "Can you believe that it's come to this?" Yeah, Michael Cole, I can absolutely believe that it's come to this. These two are literally fighting forever. They do these horrible things to each other all the time. I can absolutely believe that it's coming to this. What's the difference in a no holds barred and an unsanctioned match? I guess maybe in kayfabe you can sue for what happens in a no hold barred match, but you can't in an unsanctioned match. Purely terms of litigation. That's all I can think of. The the two men proceeded to throw each other through like every table possible. They slammed each other on a ton of stuff, and that's really I think this match kind of took on that sort of tone to it, where they were both busting out these big, dangerous moves, these big slams on tables, throwing each other into stuff. Eventually, as I showed you that photo earlier, we had the barbed wire chair. Now I was trying to think back at this. When's the last time we saw barbed wire in WWE? The two instances I was thinking of go back to 05 and 06. I was thinking of the Hell in a Cell with Batista and Triple H, two pay-per-views after WrestleMania 21. And then I was thinking of 06 with Tommy Dreamer, Terry Funk, and Beulah taking on Lita, Edge, and Mick Foley. They had barbed wire in that match in WECW, the One Night Stand, 2006. Vengeance 05, is that the Batista one? You're right. Ambrose had that cage with but I don't know if they actually had contact with it. Was there any actual? Did he just have it out? You're right. That Ambrose Asylum match had the barbed wire. I did forget about that one. Either way, we have the barbed wire chair here. Now, at one point, you had the blue thunder bomb onto the barbed wire chair, where for Kevin Owens when it was set up like a table. That looked pretty cool. He just swung a no hit. Jose says. And the barbed wire, don't know how sharp this barbed wire was, but it did seem to rip KO's shirt a little bit, but it wasn't quite the barbed wire that was just ripping everything to shreds. In the end, though, this turned into a big beatdown for Kevin Owens. It was an uncomfortable beatdown. You had two of I don't know if we call this Pillmanizing, because I think Pillmanizing happens to the feet, but this was the chair around the neck of Sammy twice, where he threw him into the post. That was right before the finish. And then he had the powerbomb spots on the apron, which is the ultimate sort of insult to Sami Zayn, going all the way back to Kevin Owens' debut night in NXT and the first big victory of Sammy's WWE career down in NXT when he beat Neville for that title. Jose is surprised that there's no package pile driver. And the crowd was down to dead silence. I don't think they were disengaged from this. This was that brutal beatdown of their hero. And there you could hear a pin drop. It was uncomfortable silence as KO pinned Sammy. That was a nice violent match. And at the end, the WWE officials are out there to confront KO, Jason Jordan, all of them. They're trying to keep him down. Azan Sammy better be out for a while. They really should sell this. KO runs back though. He starts pulling up the mat. And alas, as you guys mentioned, finally my prediction was true. Orton is out there, hits the RKO on everyone, doing his thing. House of Fire. He looks like 09 Randy Orton. He's got no mustache on. He might be more dangerous than ever. Orton was out there looking like a menace. So much so that Orton was setting up for one of his dangerous moves. You know, it's not just Kevin Owens that has moves that can put people on Christmas vacation. Lest we forget about the most devastating punter this side of Pat McAfee, as Randy Orton was about to get in a punt on Kevin Owens, but Kevin Owens got out of the way just in time. You might think that maybe the WrestleMania match between the two of them kind of comes down to who has the most dangerous move. Who's the most dangerous wrestler right now in WWE? KO or Kevin Orton. I don't know who Kevin Orton is. Is that Kyle Orton and Kevin Owens? Randy Orton or Kevin Owens? Who will be the most dangerous man in WWE? So he didn't get out of the way of security stopped? Ah, okay. Why is security protecting this unsanctioned man? Why does security care? Nice reaction for Randy. Again, his returns keep getting upstaged by like CM Punk returns and John Cena heel turns. It doesn't really make sense for the staff to stop him as on, especially in the context of everything. Maybe they need to keep peace because we already have the blood of Sammy in our hands. Maybe that could be the logic. It'll be the brutal match. Michael says that is happening in Street Fighter. I bet no holds barred. It'll be the brutal match of WrestleMania. Maybe. Because sometimes Randy doesn't always have those matches. Even if it's the right time to have one of those matches. That's true. 316. There's a difference between the lights on and lights off. There's no sanctioning when the lights off. It's basically the purge when the lights are off, according to WWE canon. Almost one Red Bull or one Code Red down, not a Red Bull. I might have to switch to a beer in a little bit. I don't know, or I might have to hit on the water. Yeah, but yeah, guys, Randy Orton's back. Now he'd only been gone since the start of the year, so he missed a couple of months. And they've been doing this angle where Cody takes out everyone. You knew that this was not going to sit well. Eventually, Orton would be back. And you have, at least nothing else, a marquee match. Has been all the way since November? Jeez. Yeah, that's a really long time. And really, hopefully sells this well. Now, if he takes a punt to the head, how long will Kevin Owens be out for? Mm-hmm. And then we get to what's kind of the main event, because the main event was the Cody Rock segment. But we get to the most important match of the night, which is the men's Elimination Chamber for the right to take on the possibly soulless Cody Rhodes. Drew and Seth are the first two out. It's great, too. Everyone, whether it's a shoot or kayfabe, seemingly has some kind of beef with CM Punk. So everybody comes out in their pods to just taunt CM Punk. They're banging on the glass. They're saying things to him. Drew and Seth are the 1 and 2. They go at it with each other a little bit. Obviously, Seth has history with everyone. Drew has history with everyone. Damian Priest is out next. Before Logan Paul even comes out there, we got an F you Logan chant. Seth's attire was something else tonight, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Cena's the next one out there, and he cleans house before eating a Claymore, and then Drew gets rolled up by Priest right after that Claymore. It was a What a quick sequence that was. Um, and then not very far after that, Logan Logan gets this big splash off the top of the pod on Priest and pins Priest. And so just like that part of the match and that part of the card, and however those guys are going to go and dance together on SmackDown, all of that kind of gets settled right there. And then Punk comes out. Now Punk shoots out of his pod. He's furious at Logan Paul. He's cussing. This point of the show, the censors still have their hands on the thing. So he presses the thing. And we actually get our first Punk Cena stare down of the night. But that's broken up by Seth. And Punk hits a GTS on Cena. Somewhere in there, Logan Paul got eliminated. I did not put that where in my notes, but Logan Paul gets eliminated via GTS, seemingly ending the Logan Paul Punk storyline. At least, I would think so. And then you have the big finishing sequence with Cena and Punk. Cena and Punk started this sequence. Yeah, I think I said Punk eliminated Logan. If not, that's what happened. But Punk and Cena started their opening sequence on what turns out the night that John Cena would turn heel. They started off by showing some real emotion to each other. Some real non-toxic masculinity was on display in this match. As before they fought, Punk and Cena shared a hug, a good old embrace amongst old-timey, battle-hardened friends. Look at them. And right from there, bam, 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 they go. What's up, JTHE? The God. Dark Cena. This was still Cena in the light when he's giving Punk this hug. An embrace. So strong. There's a lot of good male embraces on this show. You know, you have everything that Rock does with his hands. This was a good embrace. And then right after that, they brawled. And as Michael is putting on there, down there in the chat, the last time was absolutely 2013. It's that Raw match where they did the pile driver. The match with basically the eligibility to face The Rock. Instead of facing Cody back then, you were facing The Rock. Only so much has changed since 2013. That's amazing. But from there, they basically have their match with each other, each kicking out of each other's finishers, each having some big spots. Each getting the whoa, ooh, the back and forth stuff. The crowd was very much into this. It was super babyface on super babyface. But wouldn't you know it? That darn Seth Rollins was around to mess everything up. After he was eliminated, which I totally missed that in my notes as well. So sorry for not bringing that up. He's eliminated by Punk. He comes back in and lays a stomp, a big stomp after he's eliminated out of nowhere on CM Punk. Punk is out, so we have absolutely an STF on this occasion, not a crossface. We have Cena locking Punk in that, and Punk does not register. Punk does not respond. Punk is out. Punk is unable to continue. So for the second time in a chamber tonight, we have a competitor who's basically TKO'd. And Cena wins. Cena wins the match. He's going on to WrestleMania. Before he can even leave the ring, Cody comes out. Because now it's yeah, sorry, Michael. I missed all that part of the recap. I missed the whole set part. Cena stays out there. And that made sense for them not to pass quietly by as these ships passing quietly into the night, obviously Cena would have a vested interest in being out there. And you figured this is going to be some kind of huge angle, but nobody really considered, or some very few considered, that this was going to be where the big Cena heel turn would come. But if you were thinking it, you were definitely thinking it in this moment. I was not. I was not thinking of it at all. I was thinking this was going to be some overwrought rock segment, to be honest with you. So you have Cody and Cena out there. And then the Travis Scott music starts playing. The Fiend song starts going off. And The Rock walks out with Travis Scott. They got the People's Champ, got that new belt. He's the weightlifting belt that has a Dusty's date of death on it. So they're all out there. Travis Scott, John Cena, The Rock, Cody Rhodes. No, I thought Travis Scott just represented like corporate WWE. He represented like the celebrity, the Hollywood. Literally the theme song on the Netflix show. He sort of represents modern cool in the way that they want The Rock to represent that, and in this hillish kind of way of arrogance and extravagance, as opposed to Cody. The Rock said that Cody will embrace him as his brother. Now he's not. Rock's not repeating himself or as rambly here. I guess he knew we had big stuff to do. Rock says he needs Cody's soul. He's almost like one of these weird guys who needs to still the youth and blood of the younger to stay going. That's kind of Rock's whole thing here. And Rock asks Cody to look him in the eyes. Says, if you say no, the dream dies again. Cody, of course, says he wants it all. Now, you knew Cody wasn't going to turn when he started with this line. When he says, my soul no longer belongs to me, because he'd already made the reference in the promo on SmackDown a couple weeks ago. I mean, I'm not your champion, I'm their champion. So that had already been laid out there. But he said, my soul belongs to me. I gave it to this ring and these people a long time ago. What might have been the last ever, or one of the last ever Cena babyface reactions, the super over-the-top, cordy Cena babyface reactions, happens right here. I wish I would have clipped it, or if somebody can find it. Cena's so excited whenever he says that, and he's going crazy. He's going crazy. And then there was the classic line from Cody right there, and the way Cody delivered it, and they didn't hit the dumb button. Hey, Rock, go F yourself. But he didn't say F yourself on there, but I'm on YouTube, so that's what I'm going to say. You know, hell of a moment. And the big handshake. And that's where it all happens. The handshake, the hug, the look up. Once that look up happened, that's when I started straining. That's when I started spasming. I could not believe it. Oh, my God, they're going to do it. It's been 20 years. All those nights on message boards, all those one-night stands, all those Money in the Banks, all those WrestleMania 28s, all those matches with edges, all those burying of the nexus, all that stuff. They ever going to turn Cena heel? Why don't they turn Cena heel? They're taking too long. They're not pushing my guys. Why are they doing this? If anything, he's got to be a heel. No one likes him. No one can relate to him. What's going on? This guy's got to turn heel. All of that. Years and years and years. We finally get fully babyface Cena, and all it takes, the look up, the low blow, and Cena looks just like G.I. Joe. There's no expression on his face. I have nothing else on my notes because it's just a flat-out beatdown from there. You have the watch spot. You got the title spot. Cena gets busted open. And at the end, it's Travis Scott. It's The Rock. And it's John Cena standing tall. The new corporation. The Hollywood Corporation. And we have a major match set for WrestleMania. E, you're in all kinds of shape. What did you guys think of that last segment? We've talked about the heel turn. What did you guys actually think of that segment? I'm gonna go get me a refill real quick. Tell me what you thought of that segment. I need Zach or Dominic to make like a commercial that I put up whenever I have to get up like that. So I've been sent that final moment right here, and it's just amazing. That last moment as a baby face, everything's just perfect in the way he executed it. I would disagree with that, Michael. I would not say that he was mixed in '06, or even that in that match against Edge at Unforgiven. Yeah, it was in Canada. It was in Canada, so very much he was Edge was the babyface in that match. But I think in all those instances, there were times where the other guy was more cheered than Cena, but Cena was never the heel in any of those programs. He sort of worked heel in some of those matches, but I don't think he was ever the heel. I don't think the R-Truth thing would have quite worked. I want R-Truth though to be going on social media and just being devastated. I want R-Truth. His childhood hero just broke his heart. Let's have a drink or two. Let's celebrate a good night. We talked about that. Let's toast to your childhoods. Those of you who saw your childhood hero turn heel tonight. I feel for all of you. I really do. Cheers. You would have loved if Tony D would have been out there. So, keep getting your chats in as we have a beer or two as we go off into the sunset of the evening. Wow, there's so much to think about. There's so much to process. There's so much for us to talk about. Ron Killings would talk about it with Little Jimmy. Well, yeah. Plus, I think somehow, some way, there needs to be credit given for R-Truth starting the Money in the Bank thing. Because if they don't main event the pay-per-view before that, and if he's not in that tables match, I don't think the pipe bomb ever gets cut. So I'm going to say that R-Truth started the whole CM Punk run. And maybe is inadvertently responsible for this heel turn. So let's think about what we have potentially for Mania, what got set up tonight after WrestleMania. Let's try to build out WrestleMania on the night of the Chamber, on the night of a John Cena heel turn. Yeah, Cena versus Cody, I think unquestionably is the night 2 main event. Orton versus Owens. So, just from the Wikipedia right now. And let me share this up real quick. So the official matches, TBD versus Bianca, who we assume is going to be Rhea. What's up, 789? Why are we holding up? Gunther versus Jay, which seems so far from our memory tonight, but that's fine. Tiffany versus Charlotte, and Cody versus Cena. Let's go down the rest of what we got tonight. So the women's match, we have Bianca. And we've got those two matches. Cena doing that, or wait, is that the only that got settled for tonight? Why am I not thinking this WrestleMania card is any more clear? Okay, oh no, the triple threat. We're getting the triple threat, right? We're getting the Shield guys minus Ambrose plus Punk. Guess. Oh, Words might be kind of mad about the Cena heel turn. That's interesting. We'll You think Dom and Carlito are winning the tag titles? I actually don't know what's happening with the whole Judgment Day crew. He hasn't been a heel for over 20 years. And I asked the question earlier words, if you guys would accept it. You don't seem to be too happy about it. How could they turn him heel on his farewell tour? And my take on that is because they have other options of people to get cheered. And because they needed to do it for WrestleMania that, quite frankly, wasn't that interesting going into it. They have a lot of titles. They have a lot of potential matches. But none of it had a whole lot of interest to it. I don't know what to do with Logan Paul. Is it a triple threat to spice up Drew versus Priest? Is Drew versus Priest too lo-fi? Would Logan Paul versus Drew be an okay thing? But I don't know who would be the face there, and I really wouldn't want to turn Drew face just for that. I don't know. After everything Cena has done for charity, yeah, and Cena's still a big deal, but the time has come. The time is now for a heel turn. Obviously, this is not the best time for a heel turn. Would have been all the other times. This is one of the lesser, maybe optimal times, but it's a time where they needed it nonetheless. It is extremely helpful to them now. There's been times in years past where it would have just been shocking for shocking's sake. This is a heel turn that they actually needed to spice up this card, to spice up that main event, to make it interesting with 2 months of solid WrestleMania build. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Word's going to throw out his copy of the Marine. But you can... That's okay, though, if you throw away your copy of the Marine. You can get his rap album now. The rap album is even more relevant than before. I have no idea what the hell Fred is, but Cena's platinum rap album. I mean, that album's going to re-enter the charts this year, isn't it? It's got to. I actually don't see how it doesn't. He's got to do something with rap this year. In a second, I'm going to show you guys some more photos of all of Cena's heelish ways. Hold up one second. Let me pull these up. It's gonna be slow, right? Or is it gonna be like a diss track? That's the thing about Cena is there's so many parts of his character that are 20 years of pattern. When's the last time he had a song change? From Basic Thugonomics was how long ago? We're definitely getting a Cody diss track. One that The Rock and Travis Scott will have verses on. Yes. And that's not going to suck either. Like, it will suck as a song because it has to suck, but it will not actually suck. That's pretty awesome. Let's go through the photo gallery here a little bit. Some scenes of the crime. It was Judgment Day '05, Michael, whenever he moved on to the current song. Look at them standing over the slain Cena. Travis Scott played his role well, didn't he? He just kind of hung back there. Did someone say they were throwing up like threes? Which that might be the reference to the Michael Cole group too. That shot with Cena with the title, I like that too. Really driving home that desperation. Now, was it actually Sage or was it something else? Was that McAfee's cheeky reference? Oh, here's the ones I wanted to show you guys. There's the hit with the watch. That's a cool visual. Look at this smirk. Look at that smirk. That's not a man you can trust. Look at him. Look at that. Horrific. Well, I hope like then they were just kind of serene if that's the case. Yeah, I hope they were all just in a good mood and I guess having some sage. I don't know. Do you bring sage to your workplace regularly? This is the photo. This is the photo that'll endure forever. Yeah, Austin got that Disturbed theme, and he had that real slow Alliance theme. Do you guys remember that? I'm mentioning Wrestling with Regret again, but Brian Zane just did his another Worst Wrestlers theme, and he brought up. I totally forgot about that really slow Alliance theme that was the takeoff of the Disturbed theme that Austin had in the early 2000s. I completely forgot about that, but it's bad. It's really really bad. And there's the photo, guys. Look at that face. That's a freaking serial killer. That square jaw, the hair parted. You cannot trust that man. How does he grow the hair there? How does it not go to the back? John Cena is always watching you. He was a chain gang general. I think we're gonna have to do like a breakdown verse by verse of Cena's rap album. Man, it's hard to even think about WrestleMania. There's a lot to it. He can see us. John Cena can have. John Cena is Big Brother. John Cena is always watching. Big Brother and the final boss. What are you expecting for the rationale here? Is this just purely he's desperate, he needs to win that number 17, and so he had to do it? Is there going to be any healing on the fans? Something that was kind of interesting when everything went down with the Roman Reigns heel turn as well as it was done. It was almost purely a kayfabe heel turn. There was a little bit of mention by Paul Heyman that while he had this disease, you guys were cheering him, and you didn't deserve him, you didn't appreciate him. But really, it was this power grab, and I don't think the fan reaction to Roman Reigns was really considered into that whole bloodline storyline and character. Obviously, guys like a Cena or Hogan, if they turn heel, they are turning heel on the fans. like explicitly against the fans, against their cheers, against what those characters, probably in a triple threat, Michael, against what those characters really stand for. And at the time of the Roman Reigns heel turn, you couldn't even really heel on the fans because we were in the Thunderdome. So there weren't any fans to heel on. This move necessarily isn't at the expense of the fans, but John Cena going against his internal values is a repudiation of the fans, at least in kayfabe. It's an embrace of what fans were telling him to do for like 20 years before that, but it's a repudiation of the kayfabe character. So I think you're going to have some healing on the fans. Now, looking at that schedule that we saw earlier, it's a lot of international crowds, a lot of rambunctious crowds. And remember, with those Netflix Raws, they'll be live. Even if they're the middle of the day, they will be live. And I think they'll re-air again later. Now, Cena always got really interesting reactions overseas, often booed. That's going to be really interesting for those shows. But he has to present some sort of desperation going in. He also needs to use this time on the mic to take advantage of the skills that he has. We never saw Cena being able to use this range in 20 years, and he only has a few months to do it. So he needs to maximize every one of those minutes whenever he gets any TV time. This isn't going to be a years-long heel turn the way the Roman Reigns was, not one that comes back into a glorious babyface run. You're going to get a glorious babyface run at some point here, but it's probably going to be for a very short time. It's not going to be very sustained. So you have to maximize both these runs. You don't really want to do like Austin, where the heel turn goes so bad that it actually eats up the end of his active wrestling career. And I don't think that's going to happen here because I think this is a big enough angle. Yeah, Roman's coming back late March. What's your overall perspective then on Mania? How does this affect Mania? More excited? Less excited? Same excited. Well, Michael, if they would have turned anyone during the match, I don't think that works as well because I think it defeats the purpose of having. You need Cena to be a heel just to get this build going, and then I know he's got Cena winning the belt at Mania. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, but I'm not discounting it. I'm just not there yet. I just can't envision a scenario where a heel John Cena walks out of WrestleMania, closes night 2 of WrestleMania. I don't see that. This is a different company though, and we might be dealing with some different dynamics that we've never considered, but I don't see it. I don't see any way that he is the 17-time champion at WrestleMania, all the corporate attention and all that engenders and endears. I don't see any of that happening with John Cena being a heel. I actually don't even know if he gets that 17. I think that's actually in serious jeopardy now with this heel turn. And that's not a bad thing because it's not that important of a record. I'm telling you guys, if they just stop talking about this record, you're not going to care about it. It's a record they have engineered for Flair and engineered for Cena to break of Flair's. It's like that AL home run record from a couple years ago. It's just a TV gimmick, guys. It's not that important. And if he doesn't get another title, it's fine. Vince books Roman. Triple H books Roman and others. Vince doesn't book anyone right now. He's all in on Cena. And Tony D, of course. It's Do I got a photo of I got a good photo of the mic drop here. We can throw up. All of the fallout tonight, I still think if the night one main event is that triple threat with the Shield guys and Cena, or the Shield guys and Punk, not good enough in my opinion. Still not good enough for night one. I know Jay Gunther is a much smaller match, but given all the parameters of it, I would almost much rather have that match as a night one main event. Or hell, put Bianca and Rhea on there. Here's the photo we need looking at us. This is our current hip hop king. This is our new tribal chief. And we all bow down to him. He looks very sad about the proceedings. Are jorts heel? I thought there was something enduring about the jorts. Is he going to be in? You guys were mentioning the kind of jeans he's going to be in. Is he going to be in like super pants? I don't know. I mean, I guess we're going to argue too that Cena did nothing to actually win the match, but all that's a little too cute for me. We may get a very slowed down John Cena theme. I think similar to how The Rock slows down his theme when he's a heel. His attire is actually really interesting because, like, wrestling tradition states that when you turn heel, you dress in all black, right? You do all this. I guess I've been heel for like 35 years. You start dressing in black, dark colors, this more villainous tone. For years, though, people have hated the John Cena color scheme. That he looks like a little kid. He looks like a highlighter out there. He looks ridiculous in his tennis shoes and all that, his jorts. So I think he should go further in on that. A heel John Cena should just like be absolutely fluorescent. He should look like the worst of like 2010 John Cena. For me, it was always anytime John Cena had like red, he looked like a big old freaking Kool-Aid man. Anytime he had like a red shirt or those orange shirts, man, I know they're leaving money on the table. They shouldn't even sell merch for him. They're gonna have to. Actually, in kayfabe, I guess you have to because he's like the corporate guy. He's the sellout. But I would like for them not to have merch or it to be licensed. That doesn't work in this storyline. I'm thinking NWO. That doesn't work. He's not an invading force. So I guess that really doesn't work. Yeah, there's like the video game shirt in black, but it's not like hillish. It's not like dark. And again, I mean, I guess that would communicate that this is a dark character now. But I think him more just behaving in like psychopathic ways. Then again, though, if he's not wearing those colors, there may be some people that have some hustle, loyalty, and respect to those colors. Rest in peace. That it's like the training, the prayers, and the vitamins. I guess he did it all for the money. Is Michael Cole going heel? I really don't. I really don't want it to happen. Just because last time Michael Cole went heel, it was terrible. and he kind of ruined all the shows. But he is always linked with Cena. He's I think, an off-screen friend of Cena. He was presenting on behalf of The Rock last night in that segment. I wouldn't rule that out at all. Top 3 all-time heel turn. One of the most shocking. One of the most notable. We're trying to talk about it since the NWO, Eddie. What other ones can we come up with that are kind of on that level? Jose's got his greatest hits going out there. I mean, I think we'd have to go back to prior from the NWO, after like big turns in the territories. As far as these things that would like set it on fire. So okay, Eddie? That's a different perspective. That's so, Eddie. I'm trying to say two things you're saying there, Eddie. Good to hear from you, Eddie. Too. He said he thinks it was Cole concerned about him selling out. The Freebirds turning on the Valnerics. That's what I mean. You're going back to the 80s and like territorial days outside of, it's just wrestling. These things don't actually matter as much post 96. Rick turning on Dusty. One of the big Sting turns. But those are turns again that set franchises or companies' territories on fire. The Roman heel turn, you can argue, is the most effective heel turn in WWE history in the way it did everything for business. But it's not like this one moment. It sort of expands over like this month, and it's this fully formed and fleshed thing. And it happens in the Thunderdome, so it has a little bit less of that sort of instant effect. I think that you're talking about when they broke his leg in the Omni, or am I getting my 80s confused there, Eddie? Ah, gotcha. Hard times. Cody's on hard times right now. Some of the other big turns, again, I need to flesh it out further. Some of these other big turns are face turns that have happened over the years. In the more recent times, in the more television, cable-y, 24/7. Oh, that's an antiquated term. Internet age. Macho Man turning on Hogan. Yeah, that's Macho Man turning on Hogan. That's because that has that whole year-long build to it too. That's a good one, Eddie. I was thinking of Sergeant Slaughter in America. He got super heat for it, but it didn't. I don't think it really set business on fire. Did anything for business. Matt and Jeff. What happened to Bash of the Beach '95, Michael? I was that a Horseman turn? Was that a late period Horseman turn? Were they fighting in a big cage with camouflage? That feels like that era. Guys, I'm going in about 2 hours, and my beer is just about empty. I am going to hop off in about a minute. But if you have any other last chats to get in there, we have tons of stuff to talk about. I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface tonight. It's wild. Barbed wire was something. Batista turning on Ray 2010. That was a good one. Nowhere near on the level of this in terms of visibility. That was a really good one. At the Rumble, right? Yeah, that was awesome. A lot of those turns, like those Russo turns at WCW, don't make sense, or the TNA turns. Hey, I don't know. He's all over the place. Has he never won the X Division title? What a random thing, Michael. On the night that Cena turned heel, we should investigate if he ever won the X Division title, which I guess he didn't, but it would be I've only watched the first episode of LFG. I'm laughing how we have like Evolve, LFG, that's like level 1. We have TNA, it's level 2. We have NXT, it's like level 3, and they have main roster, level 4. Guys, that's gonna do it for me though. I'm gonna have to go. We've been on here for 2 hours. John Cena is a hill. What did Tony Schiavone say that night? Hulk Hogan, you can go to hell. John Cena, you can go to hell. Let me do that again. John Cena, you can go to hell. Good night.